Chapters. I'm Daniela with DD's Art Workshop. If you like staying on a budget and DIYs, this channel is for you. For today's DIY, we will be transforming a Barbie into a Dia de los Muertos style. Many paint their faces in honor of those who have passed. I was actually inspired by Crafty Chica. If you are not following her, make sure to check her out. This DIY is part of the collab with the Rusted Willow. Make sure to check her out in the description below along with her DIY. Now let's jump right in and let's get crafty. So I started with this doll from Five Below. It's actually not a Barbie. I did purchase a Barbie initially, but her face was too small and I really like how big her face is and I have a little bit more space to work with. As you can see, her hair is tied with some rubber bands. I'm gonna leave that tied, that way the hair doesn't get in the way. And with this mini clothespin, I'm just gonna hold the long bang so it doesn't get in the way. Now I had this watercolor pencil and all you have to do is add a little bit of water, and I'm gonna sketch the face to kind of get an idea of the design that I'm gonna go for on my doll. Now, if you do want your design to be temporary, you can go ahead and do the whole face in watercolors and it's just going to be able to wipe off later on. But I want my face to be permanent, so I'm just using the watercolor to sketch it out, and I'm going to be using acrylic paints on my Barbie. Now I had this very thin watercolor brush and it's super thin. I'm actually going to be using two different brushes. You'll see the one I'm going to be using later. And with some acrylic paint, make sure you use multi-surface paint. I actually just grabbed this for my paints and I didn't realize it wasn't the multi-surface, but it's going to work just as well because I'm going to go ahead and seal her face. That way the paint doesn't come off once I'm done with my Barbie. Now this brush is a little bit thinner and I also had it in my stash, and it's actually a watercolor paintbrush, but it's gonna work just as well. And this is the multi-surface paint I was actually talking about. And what I like about this thinner brush is I'm gonna be able to use it in the smaller areas, and I just found that it was just much easier to handle since her face is kind of small. I found that a Q-tip helps just to remove excess paint. If you just went over the line you originally wanted, just remove it with your Q-tip. Now I am gonna go back and teal later, but while that dries, I'm gonna go ahead and do my Barbie's mouth, and we're just gonna go ahead and get a little bit of black paint and go over that watercolor pencil that we used earlier. Now with a little brush, I am just kind of shading a little bit, getting a little bit like of a shadow under that black line I did. And I'm using a little brush and a little Q-tip until I get the desired look I want. You guys, and believe it or not, this is my first time painting a Barbie or doll. I know it's not a Barbie, I keep saying Barbie. And actually, I looked at several YouTube videos, but the girl who really inspired me originally was Crafty Chica. Like I said in the beginning of this video, she is goals, y'all. I really admire that girl. She's so talented and so artistic. And I really love her style, so I really wanted to do this doll. I hope that you guys are learning along with me, and I think it came out pretty good. Now I had this embossing tool unopened, believe it or not, from Dollar Tree, and I thought this would be perfect to do those little dots and little details on my doll's face, and it just worked perfectly, guys. And I actually have two of these, so I'm probably gonna keep this one for projects like these. You guys, and I'm loving the final results. And what's so fun about this project is that you can make your own design and just play around with the colors and just personalize it and make it unique, make it your own. That's what I really love, expressing yourself. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this, and let me know if you have another idea on what doll I should do next. Okay, y'all, so my doll had this pretty little purple dress, and I'm actually not going to use it because it doesn't really go with my theme. So I'm going to be using some tissue paper. I am not a person who sews, so I don't have any of that fancy stuff at home, and I actually didn't have any baking paper, which I think would have worked as well. I'm just going to be using tissue paper. I am drawing an outline of my dress, and I'm using the original dress as a mold, and all I'm doing here is I'm folding my tissue paper in half. That way my dress is symmetrical. Now I had this glittered felt from Michaels, and all I'm going to be doing is that tissue paper dress that I already made, my little mold or whatever you want to call it, or stencil, I don't know the correct way to say it, but you guys know what I mean. So I'm just going to pin it, and then I'm going to trace my little dress, and I'm going to cut that out. And look at how cute that little dress is looking. So now I'm gonna turn over my little stencil that I made, and I'm gonna go ahead and trace that again. I'm gonna pin it, trace it, and cut it. Once I have those two little shapes done, I'm gonna sew these two together. Make sure that it's basically the inward portion it's basically backwards, as you can see here, because we're gonna be turning this dress over. I hope that made sense. Either way, you can see what I'm doing, so you guys know what I mean. And remember not to sew the bottom portion and the neck portion and where the arms are gonna go through. Don't do that because we obviously need those places open. And don't forget not to sew the bottom part. Here I am sewing the two little sides of the dress. Don't sew the bottom because that's where the arm has to go through, like I told you guys earlier. And now for the fun part, we get to turn over our dress to see how cute it looks, but we are not done yet. And there you have it, a nice little black dress, but we're gonna be adding some color to this. But for now, I'm gonna be cutting a slit in the back because we do need Barbie to go in through the top. It needs to fit just like this. I wanna make sure it fits my Barbie. Later, I'm gonna attach something to the back. That way it closes properly. And I purchased this fabric at Michael's and I'm gonna be using that later. First, using my tissue paper, once again, I'm gonna do like a little collar thing. It's very popular in Mexican dresses. And I'm just drawing a little circle here. And this compass is just gonna help me have a better shape of the circle. And then I'm just gonna cut that out. And now I'm just gonna fold my circle in fourths and I'm gonna just do some little waves to add a little bit of a design to the collar. And once I have that cut out, I want to go ahead and put it over my dress to see how it looks. And it does have to be a little bit bigger because I am gonna be scrunching it with my thread. You'll see what I'm talking about. But for now, I'm just gonna put my tissue paper over my fabric and I'm gonna cut out that shape I made. Once I got my fabric cut out, I'm gonna cut the circle in half. And with some thread, I'm gonna go ahead and just sew the tops just like I'm gonna be doing right now because I want it to be kind of like scrunched and have that little look like the way the Mexican dresses have it. And I'm just gonna do it just like so. Once I sewed the top, I actually ended up cutting it a little bit shorter just so I could be able to see the belt that I'm gonna do in the end. But it's better to have this longer, that way you can cut it after, just like I'm doing now. And I'm actually gonna be hot gluing the little collar on the top of the dress. And for the back, I actually cut in half the half that I already had, and I'm gonna sew the top, do the same concept, and I'm gonna hot glue to the back. And I did cut it because remember we actually had cut a slit on the back of our black dress. And it should look like this. Okay, so now with this ribbon, it's like a lace ribbon I had from Dollar Tree. I'm gonna cut it in half because I want it to have like a little border at the top of my dress just to give it a little bit more of a detail. And we're gonna hot glue that border just as we did the collar. Now I had these jewel stickers from Dollar Tree as well, and it had these little jewels, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut those individually and I'm gonna just stick them on the little border of my collar. And you can go ahead and hot glue these, or you can add fabric glue. I just went ahead and just stuck them on there, and with my paint I'm just gonna do some designs. I really didn't plan on what design I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go ahead and just do whatever I think on the spot. You guys, and I really loved the outcome of my collar. It looks very traditional, very Mexican, and the design is very cute. Okay guys, and what I'm doing here is I'm adding a little bit of Mod Podge, that way the threads don't come undone and that way it's sealed properly. And now we are ready to do the bottom portion of my dress, which is gonna add just a whole different vibe to it, and it's gonna look so pretty. I actually just got an idea of what I wanted the bottom to look like, and I'm gonna do 2 of these shapes. And all I'm doing now is I want to make sure that the bottom layer of my dress looks the way I want, so I'm just cutting it to the right shape that I want. And once I'm happy with it, I'm gonna go ahead and just trace another one just like it. And I did see it's a little bit big, but it's okay. We're gonna go a little bit smaller, and just make sure you cut the second shape the same size. And instead of sewing, I'm just gonna add a little bit of hot glue on the 2 sides of that little flare that I'm gonna add to my dress, glue that together, and then we are gonna turn that over just like so. Make sure you're happy the way it's gonna look, and then you are ready to glue that part down, and it's gonna add a very special touch to the bottom of your dress. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of more lace ribbon to my dress, and I'm gonna just glue it on top of that bottom layer I just glued down, just to cover up that division between the black and the pink so it doesn't look messy. And I had these sticky back stickers, and I'm going to be using this for the back of my doll's dress. That way it could just stick and it fits tighter and nicer on the top of Barbie. You can hot glue these on if you want them on more secure. And once again, with my Mod Podge, I'm gonna add it to the bottom of that pink layer I added, because I don't want those threads to come off, and I just want it to be nice and neat. And with those same stickers I used earlier, I'm gonna just add a few flowers to that bottom layer. And with my paint, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing I did to the collar, and I'm just gonna add a nice little design. With that same laced ribbon, we're gonna go ahead and add a little border to the bottom of the dress, and we're gonna glue it from the back just like so all the way around. You guys, and I am loving the final look of this dress. It's so me, it's so original, and the best part is that you made it yourself. And we are not done yet. We are gonna go ahead and use some pipe cleaners for Barbie's head, and I'm just gonna cut it to the shape that I'm gonna be able to have enough room to tie it on the back or twist it. And with these little small fabric flowers I had at home, I'm gonna be removing the greenery that it has because I don't want that. I just want the flowers, or the roses I should say. And I'm just gonna hot glue them all the way around. And if you do have these flowers at home, because I've seen other crafters use them, go ahead and just cut the greenery. Don't pull it off or else it will all come undone. I didn't have a black pipe cleaner, that's why I used this yellow glittery one. But you can just go ahead and just twist the back and it should look just like this. And now we are ready to seal Barbie's face. Seal it, that way her paint doesn't come off and it's ready for display. Once Barbie's face dries, I'm gonna add some jewels to the top of her head just to add a little bit of a bling. And to give her eyes more of a pop, I had some of these fake eyelashes at home. They are from Dollar Tree, but I actually do use them myself. And I'm just gonna cut them to Barbie's size and I'm gonna glue them on her. I wanna make sure I have the size I desire. Then I'm gonna be adding some glue, the actual one that I use for my eyelashes, and I'm just gonna put those on her eyes. These pink shoes in my craft stash, and I'm gonna be using those instead of these purple ones she came with. I'm gonna paint them in black so they match her dress, and the back of the heel I'm actually gonna paint in pink, and I'm gonna paint the bottom of the shoe pink as well, just so it matches the dress a little bit better. And I am painting it a different pink because I didn't like the original pink. And don't forget to seal these shoes. Now with some teal ribbon and the same lace ribbon I've been using, I'm gonna just tie it like so. I want it to be Barbie's belt, and I chose a different color just to give it a different pop. For her earrings, I'm gonna use those same jeweled stickers I used earlier. And you guys, my husband has a 3D printer. If you guys don't have one, it's so awesome. You can make a lot of things with it. So he made me a stand for my Barbie doll. And you guys, it's so awesome because now I am gonna be able to display my work of art, and I definitely wanna make more dolls now. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. I really hope that you have enjoyed this DIY as much as I have, and it's in honor of all of those who are no longer with us. This DIY reminds me of Matthew 5:4. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. You guys, and don't forget to check out the Rusted Willow. She is amazing. She has awesome crafts. She's so friendly and nice. Check her out in the description below. Follow and subscribe to her channel. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and turn on your notification bell to be notified on my next DIY. It really helps my channel. And of course, don't forget to spread love, kindness, and stay crafty.